Hey guys. Well, I thought it was time to just kind of, in one video, say a couple of things that I've talked about separately, and I think it's important to kind of look at it all at once. It may help you decide if you've been kind of on the fence about moving to the Philippines or visiting the Philippines. I'll start with letting you know the purpose of this video is not to talk you into coming to the Philippines. But I'm also not here to talk you out of it. But one true thing that I can say from personal experience is that ever since I decided to move to the Philippines permanently, I made that decision without even doing a scouting trip or anything like that. I had my reasons. I was already involved with a Filipina for about 3 years in person in California. But she had business here in Cebu. So after 3 years, I felt it was better that I move here because she just couldn't manage her business by living in the United States. So I decided to come to the Philippines permanently on my very first trip back in July of 2012. Now, I don't recommend you do that. In my case, it just happened to work out. Now, what I can tell you is true and valid is that even though that engagement did not work out and we went our own separate ways amicably, I can tell you one thing. It's been an awesome, amazing adventure. I mean, set aside the dating and all that for a moment. It's just been an adventure. I mean, I never rode a motorbike until I came to the Philippines. And I have ridden my motorbike, on several islands, and then you hit a ferry, and then you bounce over to the next island, you keep going, and, I originally went to Dumaguete thinking I'd be there, maybe 2 months, 3 months max. I ended up staying there about 2.5 years. It was like I lived an entire lifetime there. I mean, it was just so full of adventure and met so many people, and still I have, friends there. So it's been a great adventure. Now, the other thing that's true, skipping forward to the present, is I 6 years ago met V, my wife, and we spent 2 years getting to know each other again in person, and then decided to get married. So we're coming up on like 4.5 years married now. And it's been, again, it continues to be amazing. Now, it wasn't without its adjustments. We're talking about a man and a woman, Western culture, Southeast Asian culture, communication issues, personality clashes. We had kind of our break-in period where the first 2 years, we had to work some stuff out, problem resolutions, limits, boundaries, that kind of stuff, just like any other couple. And now it's just pretty awesome, really. I find myself going days and I just really don't stress about anything. And when I do stress about something, it's really not anything major. It's like whether to go grocery shopping today or tomorrow, or, just what I consider small time stuff. So life has been really good. Despite the surgeries that I had, I ended up recovering and all that, and been doing a lot to improve my diet. I think my diet is 100 times better now than it was 5 years ago. The two of us are just very happy and content every day to just spend time together, and then she'll work on her projects, I work on my projects. So all that to say that to answer the question, is it possible for an older guy to move to the Philippines and find a good woman who respects you and follows your lead and, just appreciates you and all that? Yes, I'm living proof of it. And my buddies are as well. I mean, again, you probably know some of them as vloggers. Is it 100% guaranteed? No. Things happen. People are people. But the ones who are not vloggers, there are so many of them. Actually, I was thinking of Paul Old Dog, who you might be familiar with, him and Baby May. And then there's Bud Brown and his wife, Gloria. I think him and Gloria have been married for like over 30 years. There's another guy, Mark Mudry, and his wife. They've been together, I think, over 20, 25 years. I mean, I've got a lot of buddies of mine. Another one, Dave, who just recently returned from Japan, and his wife. They're awesome people. I mean, I know so many couples with and without the age gap who are just loving life. So can it happen? Yes. Does it happen every single time? No. But as true as that is, the second thing, which is also true and that you really should think about, is I just got done responding to a comment this week where a guy was asking me essentially, what's the best way to contact a woman who is willing to later, like, get to know each other online and then meet in person and maybe get married and come back to his country? Well, it's kind of a faulty question because it's a bad idea. You know, there is no good way to do that. Now, here's the thing. It's probably the method that is employed 80%, 90% of the time. And I understand there's a reason for that. A lot of guys cannot just drop everything and move to the Philippines. But if you want to look at it objectively, moving to the Philippines, living here, dating, and then getting to know women in person and spending 3 months, 6 months, a year with them in person, that's how you find a good woman. And to think you can just come in on a 3-week vacation and you're going to find your soulmate and you're going to go back to your country and get your ducks in a row and start the K-1 visa or whatever visa she needs to come to your country, and you're going to get married right away and it's all going to be groovy. I hate to break the news, but it has to be said. That is a very horrible plan. Does it work? I would say between 5 and 10% of the time, which means like 95, 90% of the time, it ends up being a horrible mess. Now, if you're lucky, you'll find out how much you've been deceived and how incompatible you are with this woman before you get married. I mean, there is just, I've talked about this so many times. You know, if you think you're going to come down here and you know, it's like, oh, well, gee, I chatted with her for 3 months and then I'm going to come and see her in person. And if it goes good, then I know that she's probably the one. No. Number one, you think you're getting to know her by having 4-hour video chats, and you're not. I mean, I hate to break it to you, but it's necessary. You're on time differences. You are thousands of miles apart. And when you're done with your video chat time and it's time for you to go to sleep so you can go to work the next day, that whole time that you're laying there in bed asleep, she's just starting her day. And she can date whoever she wants. In fact, she might be married. And the only reason she's talking to you is because eventually she's going to share her problems and you're going to send her money. And you won't be the only one. 2 or 3 of those guys, and neither her or her husband has to work. Or, same thing, she just needs an income stream. Meanwhile, she's living with her lesbian girlfriend, wife, whatever you want to call it. Her partner, I guess. And she'll tell you, oh, this is my sister, or this is my classmate, and she's just staying with me, whatever the story is. But the whole time, you're talking to a woman that does not prefer men, unless they're sending her money. And if she has to lead you on with, oh, baby, I love you, and I want to have your babies, and can't wait till you get here, we can get married, da-da-da-da-da-da, you will never see it coming. Why? Because, again, you're on 2 different time zones, and you're thousands of miles apart. You will have no clue what she's up to when you go to bed, or who she's sleeping with when you start your day. That is just the harsh truth. Now, I'm not saying that all women are like this, but I am saying that the vast majority are. And your odds of finding a sincere, honest woman are very small, 5 to 10%, just roughly guessing. And that's being a little bit generous. So what do these observations mean? What can we get from it? Well, does that mean that coming to the Philippines is a bad idea? No. But if you are moving to the Philippines because you want to retire here at a lower cost of living, the weather suits you better, you like the tropical lifestyle, you enjoy being at a hub where you can just catch a flight and you can go visit Thailand, you can visit Japan, you can visit Vietnam, Cambodia, Indonesia. You can do all of that from the Philippines. If those are your reasons, then by all means, come to the Philippines. But that's if you're going to come and stay here and live here. What can happen is if you're living here, you're going about enjoying your retirement life, and maybe you meet somebody, and then you start dating, and then you start seeing each other pretty regular. And pretty soon it's been about 6 months, 9 months, a year. And by then, if you've got any good sense on how to observe a person's character, you just might very well find a very good woman. Not by looking on the dating sites. I've said this, again, for over 10 years. Just stay off the dating sites. Just go ahead and go about your business. And when you see somebody that catches your eye, that's interesting, just walk up and talk to her. Just say hello, start some conversation. Get her phone number. Continue chatting with her. And as you get more information, well, then you find out, is she single? Does she have kids? Is she open to dating? You know, that takes a little time to just have those conversations. And maybe some, in fact, many, will be dead ends. You know, it may start out great, and then you're dating, and maybe things even get a bit intimate. But then you find out 2 months, 3 months down the road, there's a deal breaker. Maybe it's that she wants you to move her to your country. Maybe it's that she has high expectations for support for her whole family. And as I've said before, I'm all for supporting the parents, but not the whole family. So if your intention in coming to the Philippines to live is for your purposes, to enjoy your retirement, that's awesome. I highly encourage it. But if your idea is to scour the dating sites from the comfort of your home and start chatting with 4 or 5 Filipinas and narrow it down to 2 or 3, and then come down here with the idea, well, if it goes good, maybe she's the one. I guarantee you it's going to go well. Because even if she's been dating some other guy, she'll come up with some excuse for why she can't be available, and she'll spend her time with you. And it will be great. And you're going to take her to resorts, or you're going to take her here or there. You're going to have an awesome honeymoon time. So you can just count on that. But again, if you're thousands of miles away on a different time zone, and you're making decisions about marriage with a woman that you don't even know if she's faithful to you, you don't even know if she likes men. And what's happened in some cases, the guys get here, turned out she wasn't even a real biological woman. The point being, you cannot set this up online from thousands of miles away as if you were on Amazon putting something on layaway. You can't do it that way. Don't do it. I am telling you flat out. I know that seems like the path of least resistance. It seems convenient, seems like it'll work, but you have to do one thing. You have to insert human nature into that equation. It is in her best interest to be chatting you, getting money from you, and believe me, it'll come up. She has needs, especially if that's her whole point in contacting you and responding to you. She has all the motivation to have you and 1, 2 other guys all sending her a paycheck. Like I said, it doesn't take a whole lot. 100 from you, 200 from that guy, 300 from the other guy. Heck, with $600 a month, she's making more than most nurses or police officers. And she doesn't have to do anything but chat with you a couple hours on the video chat every day. So am I discouraging you from coming to the Philippines? In a sense, yes. If your motivation is to just blaze into town, find a good woman, or think you found a good woman, and then return home and start setting up the visa process, again, I can't discourage you enough. Do not do that. And you might be saying, well, then how am I supposed to find a good Filipina? Like I said, move here. Well, and if you say, well, I can't do that. I've got a business or I've got a job. I'm not retired yet. Well, then there's your answer. Getting a Filipina when you are still pre-retirement and you can't spend time in the Philippines, just cross it off your list. Or put it on the back burner till the day that you are retired and you can move to the Philippines. Now, like I said, you can hang all your hopes on the 5 or 10% that make it work. But you know what it takes to make it work like that? Not only do you have to be sincere and honest in these video chats and getting to know each other on the dating site before you ever meet each other in person, but she has to be sincere and honest in her communications with you. And your assumption is, oh, of course she's going to be sincere and honest. She's on a dating site. She's looking for a husband. And it says right there on her profile, serious relationship only. Okay, that just takes a second to type that out. Doesn't mean she means it. Again, sadly, there's a lot of people out there who have figured out if they can bring in a paycheck by lying to you, they're going to do it. Now, as far as what other options that leaves you, if you really want a relationship and you want it now and you can't wait till after retirement, well, logically, your best bet, dismal as it may seem, is to find somebody local. When I was living in California, prior to coming to the Philippines and prior to me giving up on dating in the United States, when I was dating for about 4 years there in California after my divorce, I had a rule. I would go on the dating sites. I went on like Plenty of Fish and I forget what other ones, Match.com, I forget which ones it was, but I would go on dates that I met on the dating sites there in California. And I had a rule. My rule was don't date anyone that's more than 30 minutes drive away. And the reason for my rule was if I found somebody that seemed interesting on the dating site, I wanted it to be convenient that if things are working out, we could spend time together. It wouldn't be, well, I got to take a 45-minute or a 1-hour drive to get to Los Angeles. No, it should be where if they live within 30 minutes drive, on any given day, as you're chatting and, hey, how's you doing? How's your day going? Let's meet up for dinner tonight. Oh, okay. Very convenient. And you can do that all through the week. How about I swing by your work at lunchtime? We can have lunch together. Or, hey, it's going to be Saturday tomorrow. Let's go on a little hike over there at the hiking trail or something. There's bunches of, I used to do the different events at meetup.com. It's group events, people that are just all interested in the same thing. But my whole point was that with just a phone call, if they were within 30 minutes, we could spend time together. And I was having this conversation just this morning with a good buddy of mine, Brian, and he put it this way. He said, well, if you were to ask the average American man, if you live in Iowa and you get online on the dating sites and you don't look locally, but you find somebody that really interests you, but she's in California and you're in Iowa, and you decide to contact her, and now you're chatting, you're video chatting, but after 3-6 months, you still haven't met each other in person. Now, to then ask this guy, well, would you be willing to take it to the next level and tell her to quit her job and move from California to Iowa to live with you and pursue possibly getting married? Well, if you're talking to a guy with any sanity, he would say no. It's a crazy idea. You don't know anything about this woman. You never met her in person. And even if you did fly out to California for a couple of days and you have some laughs and you go out to dinner and whatnot, you don't really know her. You just know what she told you on the camera, on the video camera. And his whole point in this little metaphor was, if you wouldn't do that with the distance from Iowa to California, why would you do that with a woman from a whole different culture between Iowa and the Philippines? It makes even less sense to do it that way. So I know this is not what a lot of guys want to hear. I know this may dash their hopes, and they thought, well, I'll just get my vacation time, my 3 weeks for this part of the year, and I'll find her. I'll search for her on the dating sites, and then I'll meet her in person. And they got this whole rose-colored glasses, primrose path thing set up in their head. And what they don't realize is they just made themselves the perfect mark for a woman to take advantage of him. So in my own case, I moved permanently to the Philippines. I've had a great adventure. I now have a wonderful wife that, again, it just makes each day a joy. If we're not just laughing, having fun together, we're laughing at our 2 dogs, and, we're cooking great meals and going out to dinner once in a while and just enjoying life, enjoying each other's company. It's awesome. So can it be done? Yes. But I moved here. I've been living here since 2012. So if you really are looking for a relationship, I'm just telling you, this is the way you got to do it. And if you can't move here yet, then you either put off having a relationship or look locally, and I wish you luck. I really do. There are probably some good women in your town or your nearby towns within 30 minutes, but it's going to take a little bit of work on your part to date them, figure them out. Oh, okay, this one didn't work out. Okay, date the next one. It's a process. Dating is a process. There is no pass or fail. It's you get to know the person, and they either are good for long term or they're not. Like I said, many of them are just dead ends, and you got to just find somebody else. So I hope that gives you a little something to think about. Feel free to share your thoughts there in the comments. Again, I know not everybody can just drop everything and move here. That's the reality. But to try and set up a relationship from far away, visit for a couple weeks, and then start making serious plans after that, I'm telling you, so many guys have regretted it. They wish they never did that. Next thing you know, they've rushed into a marriage. She gets to his home country. She's maxing out his credit cards. She's emptying out his bank accounts, divorcing him, taking his retirement plan. I mean, these guys end up hating life, and I don't want to see that happen to you. So see you there in the comments, and we'll talk about something else later.